Hello and welcome. This is Obsidian Anubis, and this is going to be my first ever battle report. This is a 9th Age battle report, rule set .99, and this is a 2500 point Empire of Sonsol versus Saurian Ancient army. So as I said, this is going to be my first video, so bear with me. I'm sure I'm going to make many mistakes, so if you could just try to put those aside and wait to the end in the comments, we can comment and give me suggestions. That would be fantastic. So let's go ahead and meet the armies. So my opponent, which was the Saurian Ancients, brought 3 Skyriders, a level 2 Heavens Mage you can see hiding by the hill, a Spearback. Behind the Spearback you can see 20 Saurian Warriors with a Saurian Veteran who had the Tower Style Helm, which gives impact hits 1 and increases your toughness by 1. And on the hill you can see 20 Skinks with 2 Cayman. Moving to the center of the board, you can see my opponent brought another Spearback, 10 Skink Hunters, 15 I believe Skink Braves, another level 2, this one Beast Wizard with the Dispel Scroll. Next to him you see the Tausaur, or the Stegodon, which I will probably be calling it from now on. And also 20 Saurian Warriors with the Saurian Veteran with the Sword of Strife, so 2 big blocks of Saurian Warriors. And then also 15 Temple Guard with the Cuddle Lord, who was Lord of Nature. And I believe he also had the egg that gives him Breatha in close combat. And then over here they also brought 10 Chameleon Skinks, which placed on in the scouting phase. So let's go and look at my army. So I brought 5 Readers with Braces of Pistols. They have light armor and have the Musician. Yeah, that's about all I have to say about them. To my left, on my left flank, I have 10 Archers with a bunker for my level 3 Lore of Light. You will notice throughout the game that those Archers will become more and more painted. This is because the game took all weekend, so in the meantime I painted them as the game went on. Behind them I have a cannon, and then to the right I have 20 Halberdiers with a banner, mainly just to see secondary objectives, although we didn't play with any secondary objectives for this game. To the right of them you can see my big 40 heavy infantry block. They are veterans with a full command, and in the front left corner you can see my cleric. He has the Screaming Hammers and the armor of Frederick the Great. And then moving to more to the center of the board, on the left side you can see the rest of the veterans. In the front right, second from the right, you can see my captain. He's a BSB and he has the Winter Cloak. In the back you can see my Arcane Engine with the upgrade of Foreseeing. In front of that you see another group of 20 Halberdiers with a banner as well. And then to the right of that I have my Knight Bus, which is 12 Knightly Order with a full command and the banner of the Stallion. In the front left you can see my Seasoned General. He has, of course, a Horus Barding full plate, and then he has Seasoned General upgrade, Hammer of the Witch, Armor of Ballooned, and Talisman of Greater Shielding. And in the front right, you can see the hammer that's not quite finished painted, is my Cleric, or not secondary Cleric. He has the Armor of Destiny, Great Weapon, and Horsen, which is also barded. To the right of that, you can see 20 Crossbowmen who have a banner as well. And in there, you can see my level 2 Death Wizard with a Dispel Scroll. I know he looks like a Fire Wizard, but he's playing Death for this game. And in the back, you can see a Mortar, which is being proxied by my Volley Gun. So looking to my spells, I had the Net of Light, Blinding Speed, Shield Protection, and Burning Brightness on my level 3. And Touch of the Reaper, Curse Mortality, and Cloud of Despair on my level 2. So, for Vanguard in the first turn, I moved up my Pistoliers like so, moving up to just start chaffing and see if I can clear the Skyriders. Other than that, my movement was pretty non-existent. I pretty much just stayed kind of bunkered by the hill. I rolled 2 power dice for the Winds of Magic, and you will see this as a recurring theme that I roll terrible for Winds of Magic. I think the highest I've ever gotten is maybe 7, and that's since all the games I played, which was like 5 or 6 games now. So you will see this as a recurring theme. So I threw all my dice at Burning Brightness, I believe that is, at the Skyriders, and I believe that I got it off and managed to injure the Skyriders slightly. And then the Readers also fired on the Skyriders, so I ended up killing all but one, and that one only had 1 wound remaining. He fled, left across the board. Unfortunately, he didn't cause any panics in any of the sinks, though they all passed. Next, my cannon shot at the Stegodon, and luckily I hit it right on the head, ended 4 wounds, so that's a great start with my cannon. My mortar, I targeted this group of Saurian Warriors over here on the kind of left flank, or my left flank, my opponent's right flank, but unfortunately it scattered off and I ended up not killing anything. Next, my crossbowmen shot at the chameleon skinks. Due to the hard target and being skirmishers, I needed 6s to hit, and as you can see, I didn't roll any 6s, so unfortunately, they didn't do anything. And that was the end of Empire of Sunsol turn 1. So my opponent, an Ancient turn 1, they declared a charge on my Ritters with this skink came in group, and I elected to flee, as you can see here, and so they just kind of stumbled forward. That was the only charge my opponent had. Other than that, they just kind of moved up the skinks, kind of forming 2 lines with the skinks in front and the Saurian blocks behind. Here's the center of the line. You can see my opponent rally that remaining Sky Diver, unfortunately, so it'll probably come back and try to haunt me. And on the right flank, you can see that the Spearback just kind of moved up to just be in the same level with the skinks and came, and that kind of just stumbled forward. For Magic Phase, my opponent rolled 11 dice, so quite a strong Magic Phase coming up. The first thing they did is through the Oaken Throne on the Cuddle Lord. I went that through because I know I needed to stop all the spells. Next, they got off Healing Waters, which is the 4-up regen on the Stegodon. Again, I let that through because I saved all my dice for Dwellers Earth, or Dwellers, what used to be Dwellers Below, and I managed to stop that at least. For my opponent's shooting phase, they started by shooting at my Ritters, and they are now been wiped off the board. This is also a recurring theme for me, right? Ritters barely make it past turn 1 or 2. I think I must be playing them wrong because they have been so far ineffective in all my previous games as well. On my left flank, those chameleons started shooting at my crossbowmen, and they only managed to kill 1. And other than that, I managed to survive most of the shooting. I think most of my opponent's shooting was out of range. So that begins turn 2 of the Sonnenstall. So again, for movement, I really didn't move much. I don't have a picture of it because I really just shuffled around. So straight to magic. So I rolled 5 power dice. I threw Burning Brightness again at this group, and I think my opponent spelled it. And I think I cast the Shield of Protection, and I succeeded, but with miscast, and so I ended up putting 1 wound on my level 3. Next, my cannon shot, and I aimed again for the Stegodon, but unfortunately, I hit it, wounded it, but my opponent passed its regen save, so still up for now. Next, my mortar shot at this group of Saurian warriors again, and this time I managed to kill 2 of them, so that was helpful. And next, my crossbowmen took shots at these chameleons, and you can see that I managed to kill 4 of them. So unfortunately, they passed the panic though and kept on coming. And that was the end of my turn. My opponent's turn 2 just kind of started moving up here on the right flank. In the center of the board, you can see about the same here. This Skyrider actually, this picture was taken before the Skyrider moved. He actually moves up in front of the skinks to kind of form as a chaff unit. For magic, my opponent rolled 8 power dice. The first spell they threw up was, again, the Oaken Throne, and I let that through. Next, they threw the Beast Within up on this group of skinks, the Skink Braves over on the left flank. I let that through, and then I stopped Healing Water, so at least the Stegodon wouldn't have a regen save again. For shooting, my opponent, the Spearback shot at my group of veterans and killed 2, and the Skink Hunters also joined in and managed to kill 1 more. But other than that, I managed to avoid most of the shooting, so we can go to my turn 3. Excuse me. My turn 3 began with a charge from my knights onto these Skink Braves that had the Beast Within cast on them. I'm hoping I can just kill them and overrun out of the line of sight of the Saurian Ancients, or Saurian Warriors, excuse me. I also declared a charge on the Sky Rider with my Halberdiers there. It elected to flee, so I failed the charge. It fled through the Skinks, which you can see are fleeing now as well. And it also fled through the Stegodon, which also fled. The Sky, I'm going to forget about it, so I went to, the Sky Rider Neville rallied again, and it fled off the board, so at least I got those points. For the rest of my movement, I just kind of moved up my veterans to support my infantry blocks, my Halberdier infantry blocks that failed their charge, and I kind of moved the Arcane Engine up behind them. On my right flank, I moved up my Wizard and Bunker. You can see my Wizard has the 1 wound from the miscast I cast the previous turn. For magic, I rolled a whopping 7 power dice. This is going to be my max that I have gotten so far. First, I throw Burning Brightness off on this Spearback, and I managed to get 1 wound. And then I think I throw up the Shield Protection, but my opponent dispels it. For shooting, my cannon shoots at the Stegodon and misses. My mortar shoots at the Saurian Warriors again, trying to kill off some of them before they could get into combat with my knights. And it manages to kill off 5 of them, so that was good, having a good start so far. This is just a picture of my halberdiers after the failed charge, kind of stumbling forward a little ways. And then in combat, my knights, they did easily kill and overrun the skink braves, but you can see that I didn't manage to get out of the line of sight of the Scion warriors, so I left a nice flank there for my opponent to take advantage of. And going to my opponent's turn 3, that's exactly what they do. They charge right into my flank of my knights, so that's going to be painful. They also declare a charge with those skink and caiman into my halberdiers. So skinks are pretty weak, so I'm hoping I can at least kill some of them and just kind of hold up that unit for a while. Unfortunately, my opponent does rally the skinks as well as the stegodon. I don't have a picture of that. And then here's what my opponent's kind of phase looks like after movement. You can see the skink on the right side. For magic, my opponent got another strong power dice, rolling 11. They got off Dwellers Below, or whatever the new spell is called, on my archers, and surprisingly my wizard did pass his strength test, but 7 of my archers died, and so they decided to flee and start running towards the edge of the board. I think they cast Beasts Within on their Scion warriors engaged with my knights, but I managed to dispel that. For shooting, my opponent started shooting at my veterans. Between the spearback and the skink hunters, they managed to kill off 7 of my veterans. And then the other spearback shot at my other group of halberdiers and managed to kill 2 of them, so whittling them down a little bit. And into close combat, those skink came in. They managed to kill 6 of my halberdiers, and I think I only managed to kill 1 or 2 skinks in return. So that was not the way I wanted it to go. So my troops actually fail combat, and I flee. My opponent decides not to give chase. They just reform to face off against my veterans. And then over in the close combat with the Scion warriors and my knights, I declare a challenge with my general, which he accepts with his Scion veteran. I managed to get 1 wound off on the Scion veteran, and he didn't put any on me. My knights managed to kill 2 of the Scion warriors, which I thought was pretty good, since I only had 2 warriors fighting because I was in the flank. And I fail combat due to the flank, but luckily I don't break or anything. And I attempt to reform, but unfortunately, due to the minuses, I fail my reform, so I'm still stuck in the flank for another round of combat. So that goes to turn 4, Empire of Sonstal. I declare a charge with my group of halberdiers into the spearback. It stands and shoots and only manages to kill 1, so that's good. Hopefully I can kill that beast and overrun. My archers and my wizard fail to rally and they flee off the board, so I'm going to be down on magic now. For the rest of the movement, I rallied my group of halberdiers down on the right, you can see that, and then I kind of reformed my veterans to face off against the skink and caiman and moved up my arcane altar to just kind of help with its aura. For magic, I managed to get off both the Curse of Mortality and the Cloud of Despair on the Scion warriors fighting my knights. So from now on, I may just have to stick with the Death Wizard, since he seems to be the only wizard that can get some spells off. In the shooting, my mortar went ahead and targeted the Temple Guard, since its usual target is now in combat, and it managed to kill off 4, so that's a great start for the mortar. My cannon once more attempted to shoot at the stegodon, and it missed again. My halberdiers, I managed to get on 1 wound onto the spearback, and it killed, I think, 2 or 3 of my spearmen, or halberdiers, and I think it failed, but being cold-blooded, it easily passed its panic test, or break test. In close combat with the Scion warriors and the knights, I managed to kill the Scion veteran in the challenge, but I ended up killing nothing else, and I lost 2 knights in return. I failed, again, due to the rank in the flank, and I failed my break test, even though I have my general who's leadership 9 and he gave the order we can roll 3 dice. He failed, and so my knights fled off the board. So my opponent just reforms the Scion warriors to go after my crossbowmen next. Over here we can see that on my Scion Ancient turn 4 opponent's turn, he charged in with both his skinks and caiman and his Temple Guard into the flank of my veterans, so that's not going to be good. I also did manage to do a countercharge with my halberdiermen on the right, so they would flank charge these skinks, so you can't see them in the picture. My opponent's magic phase was pretty low. I think I used my Dispel Scroll on this turn, so I don't think my opponent got off any spells. For shooting, my opponent managed to kill one of my gunmen, but other than that, we went straight into close combat. With the Spearback and my Halberdiers, I lost 2 Halberdiers, and I don't think I put any wounds onto the Spearback, but with my Banner and Rank, I managed to hold, and we cush. I'm going to this big bloodbath here in the middle, though. You can see that big pile of skinks in the back. I killed off most of the skinks, so I think I was like 14, 15 skinks. In return, I took about 12 to 14 veterans killed, and I actually win combat here. The Cayman break, my Halberdiers pursue, my Hammermen, veterans obviously can't because they're in combat, so they just reform to face the Temple Guard. I was unable to catch the Cayman with the Halberdiers, as you can see, they're behind the unit, but they managed to run into the Halberdiers, or my opponent's Halberdier Temple Guard, so at least I'll have both of those units next turn. Yeah, so that's just showing that again. This is showing up, I think, my turn. If I have Sunsaw turn 4, I just moved up my Arcane to kind of help with that combat. For shooting, I shoot the mortar again at this unit. I'm hoping to kill off a couple of them before they get to my crossbowmen. And again, I managed to kill off 4, so at least I'm dwindling them down, so maybe my crossbowmen can finish them off. In close combat, my Halberdiers are still locked in combat with this Spearback, unable to do any more wounds, but at least managing to hold their own. And in this big combat, I lose 3 of 4, looks like, veterans, a couple Halberdiers, and I kill off a couple of the Temple Guard. I believe I win this combat, but due to the fact that Temple Guard are stubborn, they hold and we continue to the next round of combat. So we go to the Saurian Ancient turn 5. My opponent charges its 1 Saurian Ancient, it's 1 Spearback into my cannon, and also charges its Skinks Hunters into my mortar, as well as charging the remaining Saurian Warriors into my crossbowmen. I do extend and shoot here, but I was unable to capitalize on anything there. You can see my Death Wizard has taken a wound. I believe he gained that when my Light Wizard cast the miscast earlier on in the game. My opponent still wasn't done with charges. The Stegodon came charging into my Halberdiers here, so that'll probably be the end of them. Going to close combat, the Spearback managed to kill 2 of my Cannoneers, but I managed to put a wound onto the Spearback, so that's something at least. My cannon has had 4 rounds so far to shoot at the Stegodon, and it's only hit twice and only done 4 wounds, so its main job was to kill that Stegodon, and it failed, so it kind of let me down, but at least it managed to put a wound on its Spearback and hold its own. My mortar had no such luck. It easily was wiped out by the Skinks, and my crossbowmen were also easily wiped out and overrun by the Saurian Warriors. I think my opponent got the Beast Within on that group as well, which didn't help. But my crossbowmen, they were wiped out to a man. Also, with this addition of the Stegodon, my Halberdier unit that was fighting the Spearback got wiped out. So I'm losing units quickly now. In the main group of combat, my opponent managed to get Stone Skin off on his Temple Guard, so I don't think I did any wounds, and he did quite a few to me, but I managed to hold. You can see that his 2 Cayman rallied, unfortunately, so I don't gain any of those points. Going to my turn, Empire of Sunsaw turn 6, there's really nothing I can do. We go straight to close combat, where the Spearback wiped out my cannon, so, it wasn't doing very good anyway, so I guess it's time it left the party. In the main combat, I do manage to put 2 wounds onto the Quarterlord, but unfortunately 2 is not enough, and I believe I break from combat and my opponent wipes me out. This is the last picture I have of the game. You can see we're still locked in combat, it looks like, although I think on my opponent's turn 6, as I said, he brings in his Stegodon and his purple Saurian Warriors, which are to the right of this picture, and they come charging into the flank, and I'm wiped out completely. So I'm completely massacred in this game. So, not the greatest first game I've ever had, but, we were both learning the rules, and as I said, this game took all weekend, so we were constantly looking up rules, but we've been getting faster since the games we've been doing since then, so that's good. So just some feedback about the 9th edition so far. My opponent, let's see, they didn't like the new Born Predator rule, where they can reroll 1s, especially since they have a lot of, the Cayman have great weapons, so they don't get that anymore. So they much preferred this. They could add an attack with the 6s, so that's just what my opponent said. Also, they didn't like the new parry save, which is the the hand weapon shield. They liked the old one where you had a 6-up ward save versus the you can only hit on a 4+. In this battle, it wasn't too significant. I mean, it played a little role with the knights and the Scion warriors, but overall, I think my opponent was pretty disappointed with that. Going to going to the Empire. Um, I mean, obviously, I lost significantly. I think this was like a 17-3 battle, so pretty bad loss for the Empire. But overall, I mean, I had fun with it, learning the new rules, learning how to play the Empire, which I'm still working on. As I said, I think I definitely need to work on the readers. I've played 4 or 5 games since this first game, and they've always died on the first or second game of the turn of the game. So I think I definitely need to figure out how to play them better. Magic wasn't really effective. I mean, I know in the Ninth Age they kind of wanted to lower magic, so it wasn't quite as a part of a game. But at least for the Empire, or at least for me, it really seemed like both my wizards were really hardly getting any spells off. Maybe one a turn. I mean, given I had terrible winds of magic, so I only could maybe cast 1-2 spells a turn, anyways. But I felt like the spells I had or could cast really played no part in the game. For the rest of it, for the artillery, I know a lot of people complaining that Empire can only have 3 artillery pieces. I think that's fine. I only brought 2 to this battlefield, and honestly, they didn't do as well as they should have. I mean, the mortar did alright, I guess. But the cannon, I mean, it had 4 turns to shoot that second on, and it only hit twice and only ever wounded it once. So, I mean, it really needed to kill the second on in order to win back its points. For infantry-wise, I mean, the halberdiers, they've always been good. They're still good. I didn't bring spearmen, but they seem like a much more viable option now. I'm kind of debating on the swordsmen or basic hand weapon and shields. I feel like they've lost something. In the 8th edition, they had the 6-up parry, plus they had the weapon skill, which was 4. But in the new edition, they really don't have that at all. I mean, you can only hit them on a 4+, but that was basically the same thing as having a weapon skill of 4. So I feel like they've lost the 6-up parry save. So I think that they need something to add to them. Maybe giving them another initiative, which I know would be kind of the same thing as 2 hand weapons. But I feel like they need some bonus to add. Otherwise, I feel like that they're never going to be played compared to halberdiers and spearmen. But other than that, I think those are my final thoughts. As I said, this was my first recording ever for both the Ninth Age and just Empire or Warhammer in general. So if you guys could give me feedback. I'm sure I messed up the rules, so if you could point those out, that would be fantastic. I want to try to learn this game and not try to cheat or do anything wrong. So if you guys saw any of those throughout the game, that'd be fantastic if you could point those out. Other than that, I mean, if you guys could hit like and subscribe, that'd be great. I'll try to upload these videos. Maybe you'll probably get 1 a week, but I mean, I usually can get 1 game a weekend. So if I can get maybe 1 game on Saturday, maybe I can do the recording on Sunday and get 1 game in. But yeah, if you guys could just tell me what you think, hit like and subscribe, that'd be great. Thanks. City Anubis out.